Now, people have been turning to their creature comforts more than usual during Melbourne's second lockdown, and that, of course, includes food. It's also being served up to soothe the isolation felt by culturally diverse groups. James Hancock has more.
Hi everyone, talo falava, womajika, and welcome to The Big Spoon.
Miss Catalina hosts this 7-part online series.
We wanted to provide a platform for these communities to be able to share their story.
And what better way to plate it up, given 2020 has been the year of home cooking for many.
Making a very famous Samoan dish, which is called palusami.
Latoya identifies as fafafine. It means mannerisms of a woman in Samoan and other Pacific Island cultures.
My family back in Samoa just automatically, when I just spoke, they just went, oi, fafafine, fafafine.
During the episode, she talks about her struggles living as a woman in New Zealand and later Australia.
My mother said, because I already had transitioned in Samoa, that it's not accepting. For you to be more safe and more comfortable, you would have to go back as a boy.
But that didn't last long.
Then it was me choosing, do I stay miserable and stay as a man or be my true self? And nothing was going to stop me from being my true self.
That's what the series is all about, celebrating people's differences during a tough time.
That is absolutely yummy.
There's also a particular issue of isolation because a lot of them might have families that are overseas.
We have fresh chilies, and I grew them in my own garden.
Oh wow!
Yes, in my
Are
own
these
herb
really
garden.
hot?
No, they are quite mild.
Okay,
yeah,
so they're as hot as me.
Visibility for people of colour is still not very acknowledged here. It's time that we are visible.
So
Latoya Hoeg there, who you just saw in that story, joins us now via Skype. Lovely to see you there, Latoya. Let's talk about fafafine. For those of us who aren't sure about it and who don't really know, we know that it's a traditional role in Samoan society. What is that role?
The role of a fafafine is, actually it's a cultural thing. It's part of our culture back in Samoa that, if someone is LGBTI or so forth, they are embraced by our Samoan culture. So, it's not pushed aside or frowned upon. So that's what our Samoan fafafine is all about. It's actually an umbrella for the letters of the LGBTI community.
Ah, right. I wonder if it's similar to the recognised third gender in French Polynesia, known as the Maohi.
Yes, as the mahu, also in Hawaii,
Yeah.
that's also what it's all about. It's just an umbrella that we used, or the term fafafine, which means mannerism of a woman.
I wonder, why do you think that the mannerism of a woman is far more accepted in the Pacific Islander and Islander culture than it is, say, in the Western society?
Yeah, I can't answer that. It's because I was brought up with it, and it wasn't until I left Samoa and dealt with the discrimination and, how it was wrong to be the way I am. So, that's how I experienced it, was coming out of Samoa.
So obviously it has been very, very difficult for you to try to adapt. How did you deal with the challenges?
Oh, it was back in the 80s when I had to migrate to New Zealand due to my mother's illness, and my mother, being protective of me, told me that, it's not going to be the same as you are in Samoa, where there is the freedom of being who you are. So, at that time, due to, my transition as a trans woman, I did not have the hormone treatment. So, I did look different from what I am now, but I'm also much older. So, so it was harder in those times. And, and back in those days, if you weren't careful in the Western world, you had rocks thrown at you and you were called horrible names, and you could be bashed for just trying to be yourself.
You would have seen a lot of changes since then, of course.
Of course, there has been a lot of change.
Yeah. And how did you feel seeing those changes, seeing the LGBTQI become more acceptable in society?
Well, of course, it's, you know, it's so much better from my time. You know, in my time, you know, trans people were classed as an illness, so you know you couldn't get jobs. So, you know, it has changed and there's more acceptance, but there's still a lot of work. And that's why also trans people are now getting out there and you know, getting more visibility now because we have been pushed aside for way too long.
Latoya, of course, you appeared on that show, cooking there. Tell us, what is the best dish that you can prepare?
Quick?
Yeah, yeah, quick and easy. That's what we're in for here at COVID times.
Well, but the palusami that I cooked is really quick because it's also a vegan dish, so it's very easy and easy to adapt. The only thing is trying to find the taro leaf.
Ah, right, of course. Latoya Hoeg, it is so wonderful talking to you. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
And thank you for giving us visibility.